Just today, a parent reached out to me and asked, "Isn't coding too difficult for my 7th grader?" Well, I'm John Ruffin, founder of This Kid Can Code, and I figured I can show you better than I can tell you. Here is an Apple Watch application that some of our returning students will be creating. Yes, you heard me correctly, an Apple Watch application. You're probably thinking, the watch just started shipping, or there are very few apps in the App Store for the watch. And you'd be correct. So can you see how timely and relevant This Kid Can Code apprenticeship content really is? So let's get back to Can My 7th Grader Learn How to Code? I'm going to quickly walk you through the development process. I won't explain everything step by step 100% because we're trying to be quick in this demo. I'm going to save that for the classroom. So we're going to create what's called a single view application. We are in Xcode, which is Apple's free IDE. I'm going to give it a name, our application a name, iLoveMemphis. Hit next. We're going to save it in our iLoveMemphis app folder. Hit create. And voila, we have a template for an iPhone application. But that's not exactly what we want at this point. Again, I'm not going to explain everything, but this is a template for an iPhone application. We want to create an iWatch application, so we have to go up to Editor, add Target, and add the WatchKit app target. So here it gives you some defaults. So based on the iPhone app name that you created, it gives you a similar iWatch app name. We're going to keep all these defaults. The language is going to be Swift. Click Finish. Click Activate. And now you see we have actually 2 new folders. One for the iLoveMemphis WatchKit extension. This is where our code is going to be. And another folder called the iLoveMemphis WatchKit app. This is where our user interface is going to be. So let's open our user interface. This is where we're going to design our application. So here you have a user interface. Here you can drag buttons and labels and all type of stuff, tables, onto this user interface. So what we want to do is find a button and put it on our user interface. So over here to the right, I'm going to scroll and find a button, and then I'm just going to drag that button onto our user interface. Just like that. Now we have a button. Next thing we want to do with our button is change the title of it. I think we wanted to say something. Alright, and you can see that that has now been updated in our user interface. We also want to change the background color of it. And change that to green. And we can't really see the words now, so let's change the text color to black. Now, we have a button, we have a label, it says say something. That's the name of it. The next thing we want to do is add a label. So instead of scrolling, I'm going to go here and search label. I typed LAB, it found label. So let's add our label to the user interface. And we want to call our label at this point in time I love Memphis. And let's see, what else we want? We want to change the color of that to, let's say, a yellow. Alright. We also want to position it in the center horizontally, and vertically we'll center it. There we have it. We have our user interface. Now we can actually run this application. Nothing's going to happen, but let's go ahead and run it just so you can see. I'm going to do a shortcut, Command R, to actually start the simulator. You can see it says build succeeded. And if we open up simulator, there it is. This is the iPhone app that we created. This comes base. Okay, so we really don't need that at this point in time. But this is our iWatch app. Here's our button. Here's our label that says I love Memphis. So when we click this, nothing happens, right? When we click this, we actually want this to show. So now let's go over and do some programming instead of the the design work. Our design is pretty much done for the most part. So back over here in our user interface, okay, we're back in Xcode. We are going to, the user interface is highlighted, okay, selected. So we want to do what's called what I call 2 panels, right? All right, so this code is what's called a controller, and the controller controls the actions and events that we want to happen or that we want to program for our user interface. So we want our buttons, our elements on the user interface to know about each other and be able to interact with each other. So the easy way to do that is I'm going to control drag our label over here, and it's going to create something called an outlet. So what we want to do is give our label a name, and we're going to call it LBL underscore say hello. I like to give elements a prefix because it helps the kids understand a little bit clearer what they're dealing with. So I'm going to connect that. So you can see it created this name for this IB outlet. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to do the same thing or a similar thing for our button. So we're going to drag our button over. This is going to be a little different because we want some action to happen when our button is clicked. And we're going to call this button, btn, and we'll use the same suffix, say hello. You don't have to, but we're just going to use the same suffix. Now you can see this created what's called an IB action, created a function. This is where our code is going to go. So what do we want when this button is clicked? What do we want it to do? Well, we want to change the text of this label element. So let's say when this button is clicked, this function is going to execute, and we want to say LBL. See, it automatically found it for us. LBL dot set text, and we want to put that in quotation marks. I'm going to say I love, that will be a V, Memphis, and 4 exclamation points. All right, so now actually we're almost there. We're almost there. We want to go back to the label. We do not want to set this text by default. We're going to take that off. So now you can see it's gone from here. Now when we run our application, we're going to click this button, and then it's going to set the text of this LBL say hello label to I love Memphis with the exclamation points. Let's see if this is correct. So we're going to hit Command R to run again. Build succeeded. Let's go back to the simulator. Now, you can see, don't get confused by the iPhone app over there. Let's lower that. Our label is no more. When we click say something, voila, I love Memphis. This is computer programming, folks. It is not that difficult. A 7th grader can easily follow instructions to create this application.